Well,
wow. Listen, in a moment of vulnerability and honesty, I will say, was I running late today? Yes. But did I change 3 times?
yes.
But when I get here...
Do you look any better than the first outfit? Probably not.
Oh, trust and believe. I look a lot better. And today we're going to a birthday party for our friend Mia. And
Shout out.
And the theme is red. And as you can tell, Nick and I are wearing our take of red. Nick, what did you describe your take on today's vibe?
Well, I was inspired by the opening ceremonies to the Olympics today.
Boycott.
Why are we boycotting?
Oh, you don't know?
Because they're not paying the dancers.
Wow.
Just like Todrick Hall.
No, Miss Todrick.
They're always stealing from queer people.
Always.
No, I'm wearing for the audio listeners, I'm wearing an Adidas soccer jersey.
There's some modeling for the visual learners. Don't leave them behind.
Well, I'm saying the visual learners can see, but I'm describing for the audio listeners if they haven't seen just yet. Mm-hmm. I'm wearing a red and blue and white striped soccer jersey. Adios. Mm-hmm. As some may say. Not sponsored.
Never.
A dry fit sort of situation, and then just like some blue shorts. I'm giving very much like America core.
And your biggest accessory on your left arm. Your new accessory.
Featuring my new accessory. I did get a tattoo last Saturday. Shout out to my tattoo artist. It was a lovely non-binary person that my mom kept calling she.
But how did you know? Did you ask pronouns or did they just offer them?
Well, they never said pronouns, but like you could just tell.
Oh, so you're just giving they them.
That was what the vibe was, and I didn't want to assume, but it very clearly was not the pronouns that they were using.
So your mom didn't do anything wrong.
Well, no, it was very clear that they did not go by she her. It was very clear that wasn't the vibe. The haircut was very short, very masculine.
Oh, so short hair equals man.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it was a very visibly queer. And I tiptoe and as around that kind of situation. But my mom kept referring to her.
My name is Peru.
I'm Trailblazer Nick, and this is
Trailblazers. Canceled edition. And this time it's Nick.
No, so my mother kept referring to my tattoo artist as she, her. For context, so I went home. A previous episode, if you listened, my grandmother deceased. Rest in peace.
RIP.
And so I flew back home for the memorial services, and my older sister, desperately wanted to get family tattoos while I was back. She had called me maybe like a day or two before I flew back out and was like, so you're gonna get tattoos with us, right? And I was like, I'm sorry, tattoos? What? When? Where? Why? And my grandma had a saying that she would always tell us before, like, every time she like hung up on the phone with us, every time like we said goodbye to her, or when she would sign off on cards. She would always say, mind your knitting, which is just like a little phrase to be like, take care of yourself, like be good, like whatever. And so when she would sign different cards and things, like every birthday card I got from her, every holiday, she would just write the acronym MYK. And my sister was like, we should get that all as like a tattoo. And my sister had asked my grandma for her permission if she could do that. And my grandma was like, well, I don't like tattoos. Mind you, my grandfather tatted out. Like
really?
My grandfather, rest in peace, he famously would never wear shorts. And when I asked my dad why, he was like, well, it's because he has a tattoo of a naked woman on his leg, and he got it when he was in when he was in the army, and he was like, or was it the Navy? It was some sort of
service for America,
service work for America, where he wore a uniform, and he was overseas. And when he was overseas, he got this tattoo, and I guess when he got older was embarrassed by it, and so he would never wear shorts. He only wore pants, like jeans. Like even on the hottest day of the fucking summer, we'd be outside and it'd be like 95 fucking degrees, everyone's dripping sweat, and he refused to wear shorts.
Did you ever see it?
Never saw it. There was a time where like I kind of got like a glimpse of it, but like he wouldn't show it to anybody. Like he was just like so embarrassed by it.
You're like touching his leg. You're like, hey, grandpa.
I'm like pulling the leg up. I'm like, show it to me. Show it to me.
Everywhere your family's.
I have to show you pictures. I got a bunch of pictures when I was there because I'll get into that.
I want to see.
But
was grandpa giving?
I mean, he's giving old.
Oh.
He's giving like elderly. Like you'll see. But anyway, she told my sister I don't like tattoos, but once I'm gone, go ahead and do it. Like I don't care. And so, sure enough, she died. And my sister was like, "Okay, let's do it." And so then we all went, me, my sister, both my sisters and my dad all got matching tattoos in her handwriting. We like gave it over to the tattoo artist, just like one of the cards that she sent us. They blew it up, whatever. And then everyone else got theirs in black ink, and I really wanted mine in red. And the tattoo artist kept being like, well, you know, like, you should probably do it in black because it, like, you know, the quality, it'll stay longer or whatever. But I had already made up my mind. I was like, no, I want a red tattoo. Like, if I was ever going to get a tattoo, I was going to get it in red because I have friends who have tattoos that they got in red ink, and I think that's looks so good. And I think looks really nice on my skin tone. So I, like, my older sister and my dad got their tattoos first, and so they got it done really quickly. And then it was my turn and my younger sister. And my lovely non-binary tattoo artist had me, like, sit down or whatever, put the little stencil on, and then was like, okay, so, like, I'm going to get the tattoo gun ready. And I go, okay, I want red ink. And they were like, okay. And they tried to talk me out of it. And I was like, and they're like, you know, it's not going to, you're going to have to get touch-ups, whatever. It tends to bleed, you know, as, like, time goes on. And I go, I don't care. I want that. If I'm putting it on my body, I want it in red. Okay. And so then they were like, okay. And then they showed me the color, but the primary color red that they had. And I was like, do you have any other shades of red? And then they only had like pinky tones. And I was like, okay, I'll just do the red, like red. And so I did. And I love it. And wait, for visual learners.
Show the visual learners.
You can see, it's just like cute. I put it on my arm. I have it so like when my arm is by my side, you can't really see it. But, like, if I twist it out, you can. So, she's cute.
Mind your knitting or move those knees while you're blowing dick.
Sure. I was going to say something about, like, knockers. Like, my
move your knockers.
What's a word what's an adjective that's with Y that means big?
My enormous.
I was thinking enormous, but like
my huge knockers.
My huge knockers, yeah. So anyway, this is my first tattoo and only tattoo, and so I was like really nervous. I actually wasn't even that nervous. Like my mom was more nervous for all of us because she didn't get one because she was like, I don't like pain, I don't want to do it, and we were like totally fine. And at first they did like the test little go through of like a little line, and they're like, okay, how did that feel? And I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And then they're like, okay, great, so we'll start. And so I was like on my back laying down, and they were going at it, and then all of a sudden there'd be moments where they were like going over like the thicker part of like the letters, and I'd be like, but it still wasn't that bad. It was honestly a lot easier than I thought it would be.
And also I believe a townsperson responded to because leave it to Miss Nick. Miss Nick will literally will evaluate any resharing. Anything Miss Nick puts on stories has to be meticulously thought of. And here, the only moment of like attention seeking that Miss Nick really just let herself partake in was you posting that photo of you on the tattoo bed because
I wanted attention.
You were like, oh, I want all these hoes to see me on this tattoo bed.
I want everyone to be like, wait, it's so edgy. Wait, what are you getting?
So wild.
And first I believe my DMs were flooding.
Particularly one.
A townsperson commented that I looked really fish. Laying down on the tattoo bed, and I said, thank you.
Yeah, from the tattoo bed angle, like, it made me really, appreciate the men that, have to see you from down there because, they're doing the Lord's work, really.
And literally, they followed up with you look really fish with, like, your chest, mama, like big. And then I literally, like, my huge knockers, talk about it. Let's talk about it.
That's so cute. Well, I'm glad that you love your tattoo.
I do. I love it. And, like, it's, like, weird because, like, I have always thought, like, if I were to get a tattoo, I would have to, like, be thinking about it for a long, long time and, like, be, like, dead set on it. And I've never had, like, an idea for something that I want on my body permanently. And then this just sort of happened. Oh, my God, excuse me. I keep burping. But it sort of just kind of happened very, like, suddenly, and just kind of, I didn't really think about it all that much, and I wasn't even that nervous, and I was, like, didn't even have, like, thoughts if I would, like, regret it or not. I literally just, like, have it, I'm like, wait, I actually really like this, so.
I'm the kind of personality that, like, I know that, I mean, my skin is really soft if you've had the honor to touch me. But
I just cut my finger.
wow.
Oh my god, wait, you lied. Your skin's dry as hell.
Anyway, I moisturize morning and night. Thank you very much.
Girl,
my entire body and
too.
oil it. And
Oil.
oils. You know when it's
Body
special,
oil.
of
You're going to
course.
bed. You're going to bed with body oil on.
Well, go to bed with like oil on my face for sure.
Oh, but not your whole body.
Well, it depends. If for example,
'Cause
like
what, doesn't
if
that
I
stain
have
your
a boy,
sheets?
if I have a boy, what is it? It's like dry body oil, you know.
I don't know.
Okay, well, you don't know about skincare, obviously.
I mean, I know about skincare.
but anyway-
I just got invited to a skincare event
And why didn't you tell me
next
about this?
week.
When were you gonna tell me?
I just got the email today.
Why didn't you text me immediately after to let me know that you plus one to me?
Well, because now I won't. I'm not going to. Well, actually, I should bring you because you need it. You need this
interesting. Well, whatever. But as I was saying, I know that if I were to get tattoos, I feel like I would not stop because I feel like I would be addicted to getting tattoos, and like I already have enough financial strains at this moment in my life.
expensive.
I understand. That probably was it like $80 just those 3 letters.
No, it was 100.
Oh, exactly.
It was
Did
100.
you tip?
Well, yeah, that was before tip.
Yeah,
so it's
see?
100. It's 100. That tattoo place that we went to is $100 minimum, and then that's before tip. And so this little guy was $100.
Yeah, so like I know because I have this vision of like if I really were to go that route, like I would just completely turn my body around and just be tattoo person, and have a bunch of tattoos. And I really believe that like there is a world in which like my personality type could like variate to carry that off, to pull that off, But it's really a financial investment and just yet another thing to add on the list of things to take care of, which right now it's plenty right now.
Well, and also
on my plate.
I just like can't imagine like anything like this was just like like thin like handwritten letters. Like I can't imagine like larger pieces that are more extensive with like shading and like different colors because like
it's multiple visits, mama.
Oh, and that shit, I mean, I was on that table for maybe 15 minutes at the very most, and like that was painful, and the thought of like being on that table for multiple hours while someone was working on my like one part of my body, oh my god. And then afterwards it was really sore because it's a needle jabbing into your skin over and over.
Well, speaking of needles jabbing into our bodies, let me tell you about my personal needle jamming experience. And it wasn't with a needle.
Oh, I was gonna say, did you do heroin?
I imagine it'd be like
you should have.
Well, I haven't told Nick this story yet because I was saving it for the podcast while Nick was doing his work with the family. I ended up
with the family.
you clocked it. You punched it.
We'll circle back because I have a lot actually to talk about with that.
With family dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start with this.
Just interesting introspective moments that I had while I was
love
home.
that. So let's take it back to like last week. So this was last Friday. We're recording actually on Friday now. So like this is only a couple days behind. So and then we'll go into your weekend because I'm assuming the things you have to talk about occurred on Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with Friday. You were on your way out of town already.
I was on a flight.
You were on a flight.
Catch flights, not feelings.
Catch flights, honey.
I jokingly wanted to put that on my story, but I thought people would take me seriously, so I said, "Okay,
catch flights, not feelings."
I was gonna do it ironically.
No, but you want people to know that you will catch the feeling.
Trust and believe I will catch feelings.
Your motto is just like catch the feeling.
I literally catch everything, diva.
Isn't that Carly Rae Jepsen song? Catch the feeling.
Cut to the feeling.
Oh, cut to the feeling. Oh, honey, you're cutting. You're caving.
I wanna cut to the feeling.
Yeah, you do cut to the feeling. You meet somebody and then you're like, oh, the feeling being uncut.
And then we'd be cutting.
Uncut feelings. I got feeling for uncut cock.
Okay, anyway, Friday.
Friday. I told my sister, I believe I did tell you, like I had a scheduled dick appointment with NYU Daddy, which I've discussed with previously here in the podcast. And actually I discussed how to cancel an NYU Daddy a couple episodes ago because like logistics and like I wasn't feeling really up to par that one Monday that I had made plans for. So I just made up an excuse saying that like my dog, of course, and let me be flagrantly clear with the townspeople who are listening. Have I ever used a crazy excuse to get out of something? I'm gonna be honest. Once I faked my dad's death to get out of work for a weekend at this this years ago at this job I had.
Oh my god!
Because I just had like a horrible week, and like that weekend, like I had gone out with my friend who was like letting me spend.
That's
the
like
weekend.
so serious.
I know, and the only reason why I decided to even do that was because in my head I was just like I had already like called out a bunch. LOL, typical. And I was like, okay, and listen, I'm explaining the reason why I said my dad. I was like, I would never do that with my mother because like she's my homegirl, you know, like she's.
Well, yeah, because then
she's mother.
Because then she'd come visit, and you're like, I'm gonna go hang out with my mom, and they're like, didn't she die? Like, you mean go to the cemetery and say hi to her? You're like, wait, yeah, I'm gonna go put flowers on her grave.
Yeah, hanging with mother, and then like they're like, oh, my stories are like Peru, that your mom. Then I was like, no, that was mother.
See, I would make a reference to something, but you wouldn't understand it because it's related to the canceled podcast. Off Pod, he saw that in my recommended the latest episode of Canceled was popped up, which I have to watch still, and I was gonna make a reference to for maybe the listeners who listen.
Well, clearly you're making it, so just make it.
Well, anyway, you're not gonna get this, but I was gonna say very Clinton Kane of you.
Okay, great.
Because for context, he's a musician who one of the co-hosts on this podcast dated, and he faked his mother's death to his girlfriend, and then like everybody, and then like that
and
was
he don't
found out. No, and then when people found out, he was like he backtracked and he was like, no, I said a mother figure. A woman who was like a mother to me died.
Oh, okay. So he was like, "Oh, it was a mother figure."
So that's like something you would pull. You'd be like, "Oh,
well, that's
no, she's basically like my adopted mom."
Well, the tea is kind of this. So I said my dad, because he doesn't live here, and like I'm not really that. I mean, I'm not. I go through ebbs and flows with my dad, but he doesn't live here in the U.S., so like he's never around, and like I don't have like that emotional of an attachment with my father really. I've come to terms with the good things of my dad, and like I explained to this in White Savior, my solo show, which will be coming back soon. Wink.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. But you from seeing the show from the tech booth, like you understand what I'm talking about. So on the tech booth. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really feel like that would be like that huge of a risk to put out in the open, which also sounds probably horrible for some people listening to this, but listen,
for sure, that sounds horrible to me.
Yeah, but I mean, I have a very peculiar relationship with my father, so I didn't feel that bad, basically. And also like, like they say, like, do whatever it takes to take care of your mental health. And for me at that point was just like pretending my dad died.
Killing off your dad.
Killing my dad. And then obviously, like I just wanted to get out of that one brunch shift that I was just like, I do not have it in me to go for fucking 8 a.m. there. And then I told my manager, Kathy, and then I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. And then she's like, oh my God, just please take all the time you need. And then I was just like, wait, you know what? Actually, I am going to take all the time I need. So I took like 3 days off.
That's it?
Yeah, because then I was like, like I can't afford, like I have to come back, and then of course like I downplayed it in my head for my sick mental health at that moment. I was like, let me just downplay, so when I go back into work, they're all gonna be like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was just like, yeah, like he really, he was my dad, but not really. Like, it's like I was just basically being like, he was the man that like was there when like my dad wasn't around, so like my mom and so I was just trying to make this convoluted story of like this man that existed in my life that like was not my dad but was kind of like a father figure to me.
Okay, got it.
So then that was fine with that, and in my head I made up for it. I was just like, like I did the performance, I did the whole thing. How did we even get there?
I don't know, you were talking about Friday. You had a dick appointment.
My dick appointment that I canceled previously, I made up an excuse. Now the excuse I did was Clover is my fucking biggest excuse. Like, Clover is, I can always tell anybody being like, oh no, like my dog's acting weird, like he's like sickly today, and everyone will understand. Be like, oh no, stay home with the pups, like, oh my God, hope Clover's
take care of your baby, you're a mother.
I was like literally like watching like reruns of RuPaul's Drag Race, and like Clover's just in bed with me begging to go out. He's like, please,
he's like, please, I can't stay in here for another hour. I need to see the sun.
But which, by the way, we're laughing and joking, but like if there's anyone I take seriously is my dog. But it's just like any parent, I'm sure, like how they feel. Like, I don't know if there's any townsperson who are parents, which I know we have like a small percentage of like a different kind of demographic, I guess. But like if you have kids and you're listening to this or watching this, I'm sure like my sister tells me sometimes she uses her kids as an excuse to get out of like things,
Well, yeah.
Which I feel like it's fair. So I gotten out of something because they have a dog, a little French bulldog, and so they were like, oh no, please, we totally relate to that. Like, take care of the pups. Like, we'll see you soon. So cut to back to Friday. I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm getting ready, and this time I knew it was gonna be the both of them. Like now we haven't had. It's been like a few months since it was been the three of us. It usually is just me and NYU Daddy, and not NYU Daddy's husband. So I knew it was gonna be like like a fun time. I already had some pre-planned ideas I wanted to try. Like this, they have a really nice apartment by NYU, and they have a really beautiful like wooden table in their like dining room that I really just I was like I want to splay out on there, and like, you guys can take turns with me, just like
You want to get spit roasted?
I want to get spit roasted, and then taking turns. Like I'm dinner. Like at the kitchen table. Their table. Just they're like yum, 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 yum.
I hope they clean that table off.
Oh well, and they clean. The thing is like the MOU Daddy is like you can tell he's like a bit more meticulous about like how things go in the apartment. So like, well, I'll get to that. So anyway, so I was running behind. LOL again.
What's new?
I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm 30 minutes behind. I'll get there. And as soon as I get there, like I promise, I'll get on my knees and whatever. And then at one point on the text, he was like, baby, relax. Like, we can just hang out. The martini glasses are being chilled in the fridge. As soon as you're getting here, we'll have a drink. Mind you, NYU Daddy came to see my show. And so he just wanted to talk about the show, actually. And I was like, I was in a moment where it's been a few weeks now since the show happened. So, like, now I feel more comfortable talking to somebody, who's, maybe, like, not a close friend about their experience. So I get there. And they're ready, and, like, we kiss. And for the first 45 minutes, Nicholas made us martinis. The three of us had martini, and we literally just talked about my show.
Oh, I'm sure you loved that.
Yes, but I loved it obviously because of the attention. But like, it felt like they really just wanted to talk to me. Like,
that's nice.
It felt so nice, and it made me feel so comfortable. And like, I was just getting horny at like all the attention I was getting. Now, his husband was out of town, so he didn't come to the show. But he had heard enough about the show. Mama, it was like 45 minutes legit, just talking about like ideas, projections, and he's like, you're great, like you really touched me. He's from the South originally, and he was like, I was raised religious in a small town in the South, so like that show really resonated. And I was like, not me making an impact. and of course with peers. And what I liked the most is that like I found like a real comfort in like being able to talk about like my real life, but then also like slide in just like commentary about like what we wanted to do. I was like, oh yeah, like critics and getting people to come see it. And I was like, well, like, I mean, like I am gonna please give me a review right after you guys get done like pounding my ass. Like I'm just trying to make like funny banter like that, and just bring it back to sex, because I want to remind them, that I'm so talented at many things.
Because they forgot why you were there in the first place.
And so at one point, and when your daddy goes to his husband, he just kept talking to me about other stuff, and he just goes up to him and just like grabs him by like the shoulder and just looks at him. And then he's like, oh, am I talking too much? He was like, no, I'm just, like seeing him just sitting there, like, and I wore like my like Latin poppy kind of outfit, like my wife tank top, like my shorts and like my look, and I was like, and I had like my cross necklace, my cross silver necklace, because I really wanted to give the full fantasy.
Sure.
So we start making out. I'm taking my turns. We're still in the kitchen living room area, so like I'm going back from like one and the other, kissing, like I get on my knees, like I start blowing one, start blowing the other, and then like there was something about the air this time that felt very like strong. Like I was horny, but it felt like they were particularly horny too. And the first time that we had sex, NYU Daddy kind of took charge in the bedroom. This time it really felt like his husband was kind of like leading the way. And I was like, oh, okay. Like from the very get-go, like I was on my knees, and then he was like, open your mouth, and like started like spitting into my mouth. And I was like, something right. So then I wanted to fulfill my first fantasy, which is just like fucking on the fucking dining room table. So of course, like I get there, like like on Tricks and Katya, like like basting. So I just get there and I'm like, okay, time to take turns eating my ass. And then at one point, like his husband starts just fucking me, because I was just like, I'm fucking ready. I'm ready for some dick. So he starts fucking me, and then NYU Daddy is like standing there, and he's like turned on, but at the same time, there's this really beautiful like light fixture in the middle of this dining room table that you could tell he was like going back and forth from. So he was like going back from seeing his husband fuck me and then just like checking a look at like the
to make sure it's okay.
Just like moving and
that would be me. That would
and
be
then
me.
I was literally just like, yeah, like I'm like holding onto the sides and I'm like, yeah, do you like how your husband's fucking me right now? How I'm like loving it and whatever. And then he's like, yeah, baby, yeah, yeah.
He's like, let's be careful of the the expensive for the fixtures.
And then he's like, baby, you're gonna get the sweat all over this. So anyway, as you can already predict, like we lasted like 7 minutes on that table, and then he was like, let's move to the bed.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, no wait for you to kill my fucking fantasy. But I was like, okay. So we go to bed. Moves are moving the traditional, you know, like one starts fucking me, the other starts fucking me, and then I can see that the husband starts just dictating how he wants me, you know, like, you know, get on your stomach, you know, flip over, like get on doggy, do this. And then I was like, oh my god, like the dominance is great. So mind you, I like I guess objectively speaking, like the dick of NYU daddy is like thicker and like bigger, and then his husband has I guess it's the same length, they're both like 7.5ish. I think NYU daddy is like 8 and then his husband's like 7.5.
Okay.
But NYU daddy's is like definitely girthy, like, you know, like it takes some time to get in at first because it's, you know, girth.
Sure.
Whereas his husband, you know, like it's a bit easier to just get in. I say this because like we're just talking, and then I start writing NYU daddy. So like I'm writing him, and I had just actually I had gotten so enthralled in just getting fucking fucked that I forgot that I brought my fresh bottle of poppers, and I was like, oh my god, I just bought this fresh bottle of Jungle Justina that I want to pop open, and I was like, I haven't even popped it open yet.
Like popping a bottle of champagne.
Pop them poppers bottles, title of app. So I'm just gonna pop them off. So then I'm like, I start writing him, and then the husband is like right behind him because he had just taken his turn with me, and he went to go get more lube. He went to go across. They have like a wall that's full of books, and that's where he put the lube. So he crosses over to like where the books are, grabs the lube, and starts like lubing up his dick, you know, whatever. And then so like I'm writing facing the wall, and you daddy, and I was loving it because like, oh, it was so good. I was so into it. And then I'm like, oh wait, where's my bottle of poppers? So like I go look for it, and then I grab it, and I'm about to open it. And then you daddy's husband just starts kissing me on the back. And so I'm like, oh my god, I love it. This is fat, because I hadn't had a threesome in a while, so like I was really loving all the attention. And then as I'm writing fucking NYU daddy, the husband comes up to my ear, and then he goes, do you want both of them at the same time? And I was like, yeah.
Oh, the way my body could not do that. My body could never do that.
So then I'm like, oh my god, I have this bottle of poppers. I'm about to crack it. It's a fresh bottle.
You're like, I'm gonna be so loose.
I'm like, Nick, when I tell you there's moments in life when you have to make a fast decision, and I felt at that moment so sexy, and I felt so powerful, and most importantly in this whole story, we had already established such a nice rapport from the very beginning that I was just like, am I gonna try this right now? And I was like, yeah.
I mean, why not?
Why not?
I mean, that was like me getting pissed on.
So, of course, in the spirits of just trying to do something different, in my head, this is literally happening like in 3 seconds time that I just made this decision. I was like, all right, well, you know, let me just do it. Poppers are here. I'm ready. I'm turned on. I like them, and I feel safe with them. So let me just go ahead and try it. I'm like, yeah. So he gets more lube. I'm still writing the husband, by the way, your daddy. And then I take a big hit of poppers. And then he puts it in. And at the first try, he was trying to put it in, and then like I had to like, you know, just like sit still for a second to just see if it was going to go in. And I was like, okay, you know, like I've never done this before. I've never done this before in my life. Never did I ever think I was going to do it either. It's not on my bucket list. It was absolutely not. I never go into the situation being like, maybe today's the day I get DP'd. Like, it's not. It's absolutely not. So then I was like, okay, cool. You know, he tried really briefly, and then he couldn't get it in. And so then I repositioned myself to where like I arched my back more. So then there was a bit more space, and NYU Daddy's dick was still inside me. And so then he goes again. I have never, ever felt that sensation before. When I felt the second dick go in,
a second plane has hit the towers.
oh no, not even no, because that would imply destruction. This is like, what's another allegory about two things going in the same thing? I don't know.
I don't know. The only one I know is 9/11, Mama.
Wow. This is what this has done to us. This is the only thing we can think of. So, goes in. You remember the first time, like, you have your drink, the first time you, like, touch grass, like, the first time
the
you
second dick has hit the hole. Title of Ebb.
The second dick has hit the hole. I felt it slide in, and I was like, oh, and that was that.
And it was in?
He put it in, and then he got further into me, and then it was fully in.
So then, were they like individually each like thrusting into you?
No. So then, as it turns out that I'm a pro, so he was, NYU Daddy was just like you, and I was riding him.
Okay.
And then he was, and the husband was behind me over here.
Got it.
So he was putting it in. So NYU Daddy is coming from below, and then it's coming from further up. And then I was like, okay, well, little important fact of this story is that I didn't disclose this was my first time. I just was like, he asked me a question, which was, do you want both of them?
And you're like,
and
yeah.
There's only two answers to that question.
Yes or no.
Yes or no. There's nothing else to answer.
I've been like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Probably not today, but like if we want to do another
Probably not today.
That would be me. That would be me.
Goes in, and I'm like, it's in. And I didn't feel weird. It didn't feel uncomfortable. It actually felt good.
Wow, so you have a big loose gaping hole, just so everybody knows.
No, that's not the point.
She lacks the elasticity that some of us just naturally have.
No, the elasticity's there, Mama.
The tightness.
If anything, this is just a more of a showcase of what my body can do, because it was able to do that, and then I was like, okay, I think this is the part. I'm like going back to like porns I've seen. I'm like, okay, what have the girlies done? Like, okay, Hung Skater did it with like the Mike Hung Top Dude. I was like, how are they DPing people, and how do they get person good?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
I'm like, you're bored to tears in this story. Like you're
I was like DP. Okay.
So I start writing them as the husband's like just like trying to stay in by just holding me by the waist. And we did that for a bit, and I was like really enjoying it. I never knew I was gonna have such a good time.
Wait, yay.
And then it was really fun, and then I never, up until now, haven't disclosed it like that. And then of course, like at the end of the day, well of course, once we were done with the DP portion of the evening, and then we went back to regular fucking, I remember there
was air escaping when they were fucking.
There was no air, but the second thought that crossed my brain was like, okay, I did it. This is the first time the dicks have come out of my hole, and this is the moment that counts.
The moment of truth.
The moment of truth. To quote Gia Gunn, this is the moment. I'm like, okay, visual learners, this is how it was when I went back on my back. I was like, okay. And then husband goes back to just fuck me himself. And then from the corner of my eye, I see NYU Daddy going to get more lube. And then like I see him like touch his dick. And like he's just like, he was basically checking, And everything was fine. Not even a smell, not even a driblet of like a slightly tinted water or lube droplet. Nothing. And we always play on their bed sheets white, crisp white.
Oh, that's scary.
No towel.
That's scary.
I am a fucking essential worker. Like, I don't know what my body was going through that day. Well, of course, I Imodium too, and like, because I wanted to have a longer session with the three of them, so I was like, I Imodium, douched, and whatever. So everything aligned. Absolutely nothing. It was so clean. My hole was so clean.
How clean was it?
That every time one of them fucked me after that, when I wasn't getting fucked, they were like making me suck their dick. enjoyable, perfect, nothing wrong, not a single smell, nothing. I was on a porn set. I was like, is this how being a professional is? I was like, wow.
I mean, I guess good for you, diva.
And then we finished. I was like, should I tell them it was my first time doing that? I was like, no, actually, I think it takes the power out of the experience, because like their fantasy was fulfilled. My secret fantasy was fulfilled because I had no idea I would ever want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it just wrapped up the experience with a bow. All the three of us just like laying in bed after we all came and just being like, yeah, that was like a fucking sexy fuck. And like, I just laid there and the two of them were just like, you're incredible. And I was just like, I know. And then they like made me like a shower, and like they gave me a robe, and they're like, what else do you need?
God.
And then when I came out of the shower after I cleaned myself up, which of course I was just like constantly just like making sure my hole was okay. I was like, did I tear my hole? Did I break my hole?
See, that would be my fear, is that there was a tear.
It's my hole. Nothing. No blood. I didn't spot. Nothing, Nick.
Meanwhile, my toilet this morning, different story.
Oh, honey, that was fucking. It was sangria.
No, I literally took a bowel movement this morning because I usually do it when I wake up, and I've had a fissure, and she's been on like the tail end of like feeling better, and and like healing or whatever. And so this morning I like took my bowel movement, didn't hurt or anything, absolutely no issue. I didn't even look. I just like grabbed my toilet paper, wiped my ass, I pulled it up to like fold it over to use again, and it was just blood. There was nothing else on it but blood. And I was like, huh? And I look in the bowl, red. And I was like, what? So,
well, not that day, not last Friday night, and then not even that. I was done with the shower, get out with my robe, a new fresh martini on the table.
wow.
They wanted to continue talking.
That's nice.
We just had the best time. Of course, I texted you and I called you. I was like, pick up now.
Well, no, I was like, literally, I had just landed. I had just like gotten to the airport, and I was like I was literally like waiting to get my bag from baggage claim, because didn't check my bag. It was a carry-on, but because I flew the way that I have to fly, I take a normal standard large flight to Chicago, and then I have to take like a tiny ass plane to central Wisconsin.
And they make you check it because the plane is small.
They normally don't even make you check it. They like do this thing where they give you like a little like tag,
yeah.
And then they like put it under the plane, but then they'll put it up, bring it up like right
the hanger, yeah,
up the hanger, like literally as you're walking off, so you can just like grab it and go. But literally we were walking off the plane and they go, oh, they actually put all the checked bags like in before, like they put them behind all the checked bags, so like we're just gonna put them all in baggage claim, so just go there. So I had to wait an extra like whatever 15 minutes to get my shit, which is like a little bit annoying, but I was really waiting for my shit, and I get this text being like, answer me right now, like pick up the phone. And I was like, girl, I just landed, like what's going on?
It was important, but then I was like, okay, well, I was gonna save it because this is a good story. But I mean, regardless, the next day though, the only thing that I did occur the next day, because I didn't even like when you know, like I dropped the kids off and everything was fine. My butt was fine.
He dropped them off at carpool.
Carpool. The next day, all my movements were regular. I did feel sore.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, you know,
that's expected.
That's expected, and I did feel sore, and of course, I even debated. I was like, "Oh my god, they wanna have this be my thing now." I was like, "I don't know."
You're only DP now.
DP only. Do not tap me on Grindr if you don't want DP. No, but and honestly, like, I want to say this in a moment of just, I guess, seriousness for 2 seconds.
Oh god.
Before I say it, before we move on. I debated actually talking about that on the podcast.
Getting DP'd?
Yes, because I was like, you know that, and I feel like, you know, the townspeople.
You literally have talked about like hooking up on a train platform.
Yeah, but it's different, you know.
How is it different?
It's just not as intimate. I feel like, you know, like something like getting DP'd starts to cross over into like, well, not only like, of course, we're seeing in porn, we see so many things, so that's just without saying. But like, as far as like intimacy, you know, getting DP'd, at least maybe this is me being a little bit of a prude, but
I think it is, because I if I got DP'd, I would immediately be telling everybody.
No, I know, but you know, like, I guess it's different also like on a public forum like this, you know. It's just like, okay, there's gonna be a public record of this podcast.
I know, but you talk about shitting on some. We've talked about shitting on.
Yeah,
dicks.
but that's more of like a relatable bottom experience. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in getting
you
DP'd either.
You don't think people are getting DP'd on the reg?
I understand, but see, this is the reason why I was saying I'm gonna be vulnerable and serious, Nick. Jesus, let me fucking be vulnerable. To me, personally, getting DP'd is not something that I like. Well, I mean, did I tell everyone at work? Yes.
And then immediately you were like, you cannot tell Nick. Everyone being like, remember that thing I told you that I did last week? And everyone's like, what? And then they fully did not remember. And then you're like, the thing that I said. And they're like, oh, that. And like, don't say anything. And it's like, well, they weren't going to in the first place until you brought it up.
I know, but that's all to say. In my real life, in my regular life, whatever, doing this so publicly because we record this, I was like, okay, do I want like a video recording, an audio recording of me saying that I've gotten 2 dicks up my ass? I hesitated for a second. I was like, because that's very intimate to me, personally. Like, if I wanted to, for example, continue partaking in getting DP'd, it's not something I would just be like, for example, I don't think I'm going to get on this podcast and be like, oh, you know, tonight I feel like getting DP'd. You know, it's not something to me. Maybe this is just like maybe the wrong takeaway of this story.
After you were actively like how many episodes in a row being like, I think I want to start an OnlyFans, and like I want to.
That's different.
What do you mean? How is it different?
And like group sex is different too, but like, again, please pop up in the comments. I don't know. I don't care.
For me,
but
I
kind of intimate to me, and
sure.
like I feel like I'm being very very vulnerable by sharing that and putting it out in the public. For anybody to dig this video up in, in 2 years when I'm super famous and rich, and they're gonna be like, oh, so tell us, video has surfaced of you talking about getting double penetrated, and like, of course I'll own it because I love being queer.
No, it's like the video of Lindsay Lohan. I never said that.
Yeah, I never said that. No, Paris is one of my best friends, but it does feel vulnerable to share it. But I had a lot of fun, and I feel like I'm taking a stance. And this being more public.
And you're now a member of the DP community.
The DP community.
No, and I'm part of the piss community.
You are. We're part of like a special community.
No, because people at work have come up to me afterwards and are like, wait, so how was the piss guy? And I'm like, oh, right, because people listened.
I kind of resent that actually too. That I tell people things at work and like they're more like surprised at things you do, and like no one's surprised at anything I do.
Well, because I at work, I'm not as like outwardly like I don't know. Like I'm not like I'm gonna go I mean I am like I want to suck a dick, but I'm very like particular about like who I say it to. Like it's with people I'm comfortable with. I'm like very like, oh, I want to go suck a dick, or I'm gonna go get pissed on or whatever. Versus like if like someone happens to overhear it or something, I think people are a little bit sometimes shocked because they're like, oh, the little quiet little twink behind under the counter, or I'm sorry, under the stairs in the coat check closet, getting pissed on. What's with that? And I feel like they're maybe like intrigued because maybe it seems out of character. Because I have a reputation, very like to uphold, and I have an image.
So
I'm sorry you're jealous that people care about what I do.
Oh, whatever.
You're just jealous.
Anyway.
So while that was happening, I was getting my tattoo. I flew into Wisconsin and I got my tattoo Saturday the next day, and then Sunday was my this is gonna be a sharp turn. My grandmother's memorial, which was like so interesting because all of my cousins on my dad's side my dad is the youngest out of like 5 kids, and so he and my mom also like waited until they were in their like mid to late 30s to have kids. So like all of my cousins were either like juniors, seniors in high school, or like were significantly older than me and my sisters. So, and we also, because we didn't live near them, like we lived a couple of hours away, we didn't only saw them for like holidays and things, so we were never super close with that side of the family. And like with my mom's side, a little bit closer with them, but not like significantly more or anything. But it was just like really interesting because all of them are married and like have kids. And so like their kids, the last time I saw them were like literally like babies or like toddlers. And so like to see them as like high schoolers, it's just like so strange. Because I would like all the time like, oh my God, they're so old. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, wait, I'm old, but I don't feel old. I feel the same age. Like, what the fuck? And then a lot of them would be like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm sorry, do you not remember me? I'm like, I get it. My hair is different. Like, we've grown out. And we gotten skinny. Okay, but like, you didn't know what I looked like before, Mama.
Oh, no, I've seen photos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you mean from like way back.
Yeah. For those pivotal moments. So then anyway, so that was like interesting. And then all of them were coming up to me and they'd be like, so how's New York? And I'd be like, oh, because they're all in their 40s. And then they'd be like, are you in any plays right now? Because like the only point of reference that they had was that I went to school to be an actor. And I'd be like, not at the moment, just been working on comedy at the moment. And they're all like, comedy? Like so shocked and surprised. And I'm like, oh, like, yeah, like, do you not keep up with my Instagram? Like, I'd be posting on there about all the things that I do. Like,
no, but then the question would have been like, why are you succumbing to the Satan?
Wait, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
Why are you succumbing to Satan?
Oh, succumbing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So making a joke of like our PNT Monday post in which like
titles
such as circled 7-second circle jerk.
Because my cousin has my cousin, his wife, she follows me on Instagram and she like will like and comment on a lot of my stories and things.
Your cousin's wife?
Yes.
She's a fan.
She keeps up because she's a music teacher, and so
hello, if you're watching, if you're a visual learner.
I don't know if she is watching, but I was interested because she sat behind me at the visitation, and she was like Nick, and I like turned around and I was like, oh hey, she was like how are you, like how are things, like how's New York? She's like, I was just there, I took like a group of like my high schoolers, like whatever, and I think I
didn't tell you she was.
No, she I mean I was like, oh my god, she said something, and they're like, well, we forgot, and I was like, no, I get it, it's like whatever. Also, we're not super close, but it was just like, I think there are certain members of my family that I think are intrigued that I live in the big city, and that's something that they maybe like want to do, but like they have lived a different life, you know, they like our small town life kind of vibes or like whatever, and I think they're just like intrigued and they want to get all the tea or whatever from me. So that was interesting to like go and like spill all that with them. But there was a moment, so like how it worked was like, so they had my grandmother in her coffin, and then we were at the funeral home, and then they had like people could come for like, it was like a 3-hour long visitation where people would come and then they like, you know, pay their respects to the body and then go, and then my dad and all of my aunts and uncles were like lined up, and then everyone would like, you know, shake their hands and be like, oh, our sympathy, sorry for your loss, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they had basically rows of chairs then on the opposite end of the room for everyone else to sit, like grandkids and stuff. And so like me and my sisters and like my sister's fiance and like whatever, we were all over there with like the rest of our cousins and their kids and stuff. And there was a moment I told this,
no front row for you. Wow.
We were like second, third row because we didn't want to be front row because I didn't want anyone coming up to like talk to me, because I'm just like, I don't know these people, because you know that were coming.
Trust and believe at any funeral that my family's. Oh, I'm gonna be front.
Oh, I did not feel like I did not.
Big hat, sunglasses.
Oh. I just wasn't feeling it. And so then there was one point where my dad was on the very end, and then he was like pointing to us, and like there was this old woman who like knew. I told this to Peru already, but like this old woman was like, oh my god, where are your kids? Because like the last time that she had seen us, I'm assuming we were like toddlers. And then my dad was like, oh, they're over there, my 2 daughters and my son. And she like looks over and she like raises an eyebrow, and then she looks back at my dad and she goes, 2 daughters and a son? And then my dad was like, yeah, so it's my 2 daughters on the end and then my son right there. And she was like, oh, because she had no idea which one was who. And then everyone was like, and because the hair, you know, and it's giving that. And then there was a moment where this woman at the funeral luncheon afterwards, she was a part of the Rosary Society my grandma was a part of. She like came up behind me and like interrupted the conversation I was in with my mom and like one of her friends, and she like put her head next to mine, and she was like, if I just put my head next to his, do you think the curls will rub off? And we all were like, good one, girl. But everyone was commenting on how beautiful and gorgeous my hair was, so I was like, thank you.
It truly is.
No, yeah, it was great. But the interesting thing was, so like my grandma, we had to like clean out her apartment because, you know, she's gone and they're not going to keep that or whatever, and they had to like sort through all of her stuff and like divvy it out between everyone and like who wants this kind of thing, whatever. And my grandmother like took photos of everything. Like she went everywhere with her camera, like that. Like I certainly inherited, like I don't do this as much anymore, which I'm gonna try to be better about, because in high school no like photograph, like just taking pictures of things, because like I used to like record everything, like take pictures all the time, like whatever, any sort of thing. I would like take pictures just because I was like wanted to save those moments or whatever. And then there was a moment in college, my freshman year, where someone in my like grade, like my group in my conservatory, I was at a party and I was like taking a picture of something, and they like made a nasty kind of comment being like, "Oh, there Nick goes taking another picture," and like or whatever, like, and was like can't live in the moment. And I was like, oh, and it made me feel really shitty, and I was like, oh, okay. And I like, it was something that I hadn't recognized. I was like, I didn't realize that was like an issue, or people like found that like annoying or something. So then I really kind of stopped like being so actively like whatever, and then going through my grandma's like photo albums and things, like, and like seeing photos of her. Like she always, like any photo with her, she would like always just like have a camera strapped around her neck. She just like whatever, she was just taking pictures of like literally anything and everything. And she had such a good eye too. Like it's, I was looking at those photos, I'm like, girl, like she really knows how to like like photograph things, and like she was just doing it for fun. I was like, good for her. And I was like, that's something that like I inherited from her. And I was like, that's something that I really appreciated about myself that I didn't know before, but then somebody made me feel bad about it for whatever reason that they were insecure about. And then I'm like, oh, and then I let it affect me for so long. And I was like, wait, because every time like I take pictures of things, or like if I like pull up my phone, I'm like, oh, I was like, I should just live in the moment. I shouldn't like just like be taking pictures all the time kind of thing. And I was like, well, no, I should. Because then I look back and I'm like, wait, I don't have any photos of any of those things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait. So anyway, fuck that person.
Fuck NYU while we're at it.
Well, and also just that person's really shitty, and I never liked them to begin with, and it has since come out that they're a shitty person, and everyone else has kind of like turned their back on them, and I said thank you. I knew from the very beginning. Anyway, so that was that. But it was also just like interesting just to look at photos of like my parents from like when they, before they had kids, like when they were like just together and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, they were people. I'm like, that's crazy.
And guess what? They still are.
I mean, yes, they still are people. And it was just like, and it was really interesting and sad just to like see, like, I don't know, just, I haven't been to a family funeral in like 15 years since my grandfather died. And then was such a different experience because I was so young. I was like 10 years old, and it didn't necessarily, I mean, I understood because my mom's dad had died a couple of years prior, so like that was like a long process because he had cancer, so like we were preparing for it or whatever, and that was like sad or whatever. And my other grandfather's death was very sudden, but I also had gotten to a point where I realized that I have a hard time like being vulnerable in that way, like when something like serious and sad happens, especially when it comes to like death and like grief. Like I'm like the kind of person that will take it upon myself to like try to lift spirits and like crack jokes and make people try to like feel a little better, so it's not so like sad and intense or whatever. And like I hate seeing like my parents sad. Like that is something that just like breaks my heart. And it was pretty good. I mean, I was really nervous about seeing my dad like cry, because like I had seen it happen when I was like a little kid, and like that certainly like made me feel a really specific kind of way that I didn't like. And so like now as an adult, I was just like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna show up, be present, you know, take care of what needs to be done in case, you know, something were to arise, a big emotional moment. And it was all like pretty good, and everyone was like totally fine. Like my older sister was really the only one that was really emotional the whole time, but she's just like really sensitive, so like that was expected. But then when the actual funeral was going down, there was like a moment where they like were closing the casket, so like everyone had to say like their final goodbyes or whatever. And so a bunch of my cousins who up until that point weren't really emotional in any way, started to like really, you know, let themselves just kind of experience what they were experiencing. And then it was like a chain reaction of everyone just like being like really not like upset, but just like really sad, and you know, the tears were flowing. And so like seeing everyone like that, I was like, oh my god. And like that made me feel a certain kind of way. I don't know where I was going with that, but it was just a very introspective moment. I definitely have a lot of new insight in terms of like my family, also because like again we're going through photo albums and like telling different stories of like things that like were going on at that point in time, like all those kinds of things. And I definitely feel closer to my family in a way that I didn't feel before, which is nice. I think that's kind of like one of the nice things to happen with like grief and like loss, is that it does sort of bring the people who are still around closer together, because you get to, you know, build community and remember the good stuff when that person who was there, you know, was around. So that's fun. And then I was so horny the whole time that I was there. And as we talked about over the holidays, the Grindr grid where I'm from, it's really like kind of like Mad Max Fury Road. Kind of like the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't talk to like literally anyone, but it would be like these kind of blank profiles just hitting me up being like, hey, I'm like, I'm sorry, do you really think me looking the way that I look in these profile photos and you're coming at me with a blank profile? You're not even, and when I ask for a pic, you just go, oh no, I don't send pics. Sorry. And I know what I'm working with in this town. So you expect me to have a full conversation with you, and then and you think I'm gonna meet up with you maybe by never sending me a photo of what you look like at all? Not even a dick pic. Do you think I'm crazy?
Well, one time I did. Okay, well, sorry, but now we're back to sex. I thought it took me a second
because what? You were so emotionally. You just felt what I was saying.
Well, I was listening to what you were saying, but I will say we did make a sharp left. On
it was a sharp left.
And my brain, I don't know that I can back. I need to get back. Give me a second to get back to sex. Grief, yes. Sorry about everything.
Well, also grief makes me horny, I guess.
Listen, again, you know, like in moments of, you know, I guess like shock or despair.
Well,
but
I also think like there's just something about like being back home. I think it's a mixture of like having no options, of like having like being here in New York. Like I am like horny sometimes, but I'm never like. I don't ever feel so like overwhelmingly horny because I know that if I ever really want to, I can just open up one of the apps and just get a dick real quick because there's so many options. Versus like when I'm back home, I don't have that, so I'm so horny sometimes I feel like I'll go crazy. And because like
if you think about it, I mean, we're like Uber eating dicks.
Well, yeah, because also the thing is like when I'm horny, I like to I like to chat. Like, I like to chat with dudes or whatever. And, like, even if I'm not going to meet up with them, like, sometimes it's fun to, like, flirt and to, like, you know, just, like, the idea that you may or may not meet up with somebody, like, and whatever, and then, like, the exchanging of photos and stuff. Like, that's something that helps, like, alleviate the horniness for me, or, like, it's, like, somewhat of a release. But because there are so few and limited options in my hometown, and also, like, I'm not talking to them because they're either one, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna fuck you because you look like you have never been tested in your life. Like that, like, you know what I mean? And like there are some men on there who are fully married, have families, are like in their like 60s that are like, you want to meet up? Can't host. We'll do it in my car.
It's the whole thing, like with the Republican National Convention that fucking literally broke Grindr. It's just
in
like,
Milwaukee.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, like all of these hoes.
I'm kind of mad that it happened because I was in Milwaukee on Saturday and it ended on I think it was like that Thursday or Friday.
Oh, honey.
And I wanted to show up and be like, wait, let me open Grindr real quick.
Let's get one thing boom clear. If there was a place where Nick's type was going to be all in one town together,
I would have been drowning in dick.
RNC, honey, they see those curls, those childbearing hips.
They see femme in the profile and they go,
no. They're like, oh, childbearing is part of the agenda, Project 2025. We need more people to have childbearing hips.
They're like, they want someone who looks like they can get pregnant but physically can't.
Which, by the way, I saw this Instagram reel today because like my algorithm's filled with gay stuff. This one content creator who's like a doctor or a medical something, so all of the reels is about like interesting like gay health, like gay sex health topics.
Okay.
So his reel said, did you know that actually, as a matter of fact, your microbiome as a bottom when you get fucked by a top does change from having constant sex with like a specific person? So like a top coming in you and like being inside you, like eventually does affect the bottom's microbiome. So quite almost literally is like, it's basically like the version of like you getting like pregnant in a way, because like their seed is affecting like the microbiome of your body.
Okay,
Which is
it's a little bit different than getting pregnant.
well, I understand, but I mean, like, when we say, you know, like, oh my God, get me pregnant, Danny, it's like, well, you
put a baby in me right now.
I mean, like, the fucking top, like, is literally changing your fucking anatomy.
No, and I was telling my mom.
This episode's weird.
I know. I was telling my mom and my parents. I was like, I'm feeling really paternal. Like I feel like I really want to be a parent, like a mother. To
But you said paternal, not maternal.
Well, paternal means parent.
Maternal is mother instinct. Paternal is like father instinct.
Okay, well, I guess I'm feeling maternal then, because I like really.
No, I didn't mean to, like, I'm just saying, like.
Correct me.
No, can you feel? Because there is a difference between like motherly and fatherly.
Well, and here's the thing, and this is gonna get into the topic of gender, but like
topic of gender, girl. We're at an hour. We can get into gender now. We've done death, DP, now gender.
Well, I will just say, and people are gonna listen. When it comes to like feeling like a parent, I do feel more maternal when it comes to when I feel like I'm gonna have children. I feel like it's
same.
Feels more motherly to me than it would be fatherly. And I think it's because I'm 25 and in probably a past life I would have had a child by now. You know what I mean? Like my body's like, oh, like you're supposed to have children because like you're old technically, like comparatively to, you know, in history's past. And so like I really want to like I don't want to have a baby because that's a lot of work. But I thought about, you know.
You don't want to have kids?
No, I want to have kids. I like desperately want children.
But you don't want a baby?
No, I don't want them now, I'm saying, because I have a lot of things I would love to accomplish before I have it. Like, if I were to have a baby now, I think there's a reason God did not give me, God, if she's out there, didn't give me a uterus, because I would have gotten pregnant multiple times over. Like, I'd be 19 kids and counting.
Yeah, but there's fucking birth control, girl. You don't
no, but the thing is I was raised Catholic. So, and for the longest time, girl, don't believe in birth control.
You don't think you'd be progressive if you were a woman?
No, I meant like as a teenager, like I would have gotten pregnant.
Still though, you would have gotten pregnant?
Yes, because my parents wouldn't have let me get birth control.
Yes, but the thing is like, because you're like
because I'm like, what?
Because, like, you were just, like, you listened to your parents. Like, you never did anything again.
Oh, well, yeah.
You know, like, there's plenty, I'm sure. I mean, if we have any, I know of, like, a lot of these, like, teenage girlies that start getting on birth control at 13, you know.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
14,
my younger sister...
Secretly, there's states in which you can get birth control without your, you know, I think by 15 you can get birth control without letting your parents know.
Planned Parenthood is an amazing resource.
Oh, honey, trust and believe. At 12, I'll get my period. I'm like, all right, time to get a birth control.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that I also know myself, and if I would have gotten pregnant, I would have been like, I'm keeping it.
Yeah, because you're desperate for love.
Yeah,
connection.
And that baby has to love me back. Because guess what, Mama? I'm your caregiver. You're stuck with me, and so I think. I don't
think you should be a parent, girl. You would drown yourself. It would be the hours for you.
No,
it would be the hours, Mama. You'd be Julianne Moore trying to drown yourself in your sorrows.
Wow.
Because you would be devastated. Like once your kid fucking turns 13 and they hate your guts, like every day
I'm gonna cry.
You would be.
No, I remember
destroyed.
There's like I think of all the times, and it's few and far between, but there's like maybe like 2 instances that I can think of where I like screamed at my mother like through tears, I hate you, and my mom was like, no you don't, and I was like, I do, I hate you, and she's like, no you don't. And I was like, I do. But, like, if I had that to me, I'd be like, no, don't say that. Don't say that. You don't. Stop.
That's crazy because, like, I know whoever marries me, and, like, let's be honest, it's going to be some vanilla white boy at this point. Because no one else can tolerate my ass. You know, they'll be like, oh, it's cultural. I'll be like, no, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm a spicy Latina. But, like, it's just because I'm crazy. You know, there's plenty of like
It's genetic.
softcore Latinas. You know, there's a lot of Latinas out there who are not mentally ill.
It's like that. It's like I'm sure you've seen, but like, have you seen like the meme where they're like, "I'm a Latina and I love hard."
Yeah. Yes, but it's true. But I mean, in my family, we've had screaming fights. There's been hair being pulled,
We've never had
drinks
that.
being thrown at people's faces, like arguments in which like at the curb, like in the house, in anyone's house, yelling from the court, from like the front yard, from the car, like we fight. Like,
See,
the things we've said to each other in our family, you would be which is what my complaint with. There's this new Nicole Kidman, you know, like fucking white family drama that's coming out, which of course I will be watching. But I'm like, girl, these fucking like producers for fucking studios have no fucking idea what they're missing out on. Because let me tell you, if they ever knew any person of color in their lives with a family, they would know we got the drama. We got the drama. We got the fights. We got the fucking unwanted pregnancies. We have the hot love affairs. We got it all. We got it all, mama.
So pitch it.
Oh, trust and believe it's being workshop.
It's
Being in multiple languages too. Sometimes you want to be fine. Oh, my oldest sister, when I really want to fucking grind her gears and I really want to like fucking piss her off, I start fighting with her in English. It's like a power move. I realize she doesn't like it because when she's trying to like be condescending to me and a bitch to me when she's trying and we're fighting in Spanish, I just instantly go to English because my English is like smoother and better than hers.
Wow.
Oh, and I pop up in England. I'm just like, oh yeah, here's XYZ 1 2 3, bitch. Oh, I called her a bitch too in English one time as a power move as she was leaving my house like a few whatever years ago, and then she was like, no, I'm not a bitch. You're a bitch. And my mom was just like, stop calling each other bitches.
Me and my younger sister, this will be the last thing that before we get into Pirates and Trailblazers, but me and my younger sister got into a fight because me and my younger sister were like best friends, but also like at the same time we like are so similar that we can piss each other off very easily. Like it's either we're like best friends, we're having the time of our life, or we're giggling and we're having so much fun, or we're at each other's throats. Like there's really no in between for the two of us. And so we will have, whenever I go home, we have like a couple of days where it's perfect, there's no issue, it's fine, we're having fun, it's a great time. And then when I'm there a little too long, something will happen and she'll get a little pissed off and then she'll freak the fuck out and then it turns into a huge fight. And the fight that we had was over Dunkin Donuts.
Dunkin's gonna break your family.
It was my last day. It was literally the day I was supposed to. It was on Tuesday. I flew out in the late afternoon, and in that morning, my sister gets a coffee every day. In like the morning, she'll like take my parents.
Just like you.
Just like me, she goes to Dunkin'. And so she goes and gets her coffee through the drive-thru. And so then she was like, okay, I'm going to go get coffee. And I said, oh, I want to get coffee too. I'll go with you. And so then she says, okay, then I'm getting in the car. So then I'm going now. Like, come. And I was like, okay. I didn't bring a wallet because I was just going to Venmo her because I was like, we'll just put it on your card and I'll Venmo you. And so then I walk in, she goes, where's your wallet? And I was like, oh, I didn't bring it. I was like, I'll just Venmo you. Otherwise, I have cash. I can pay you cash when you get home. She's like, no, we're doing 2 separate orders. And I was like, girl, like, you're going to make it just more difficult. I was like, let's just do it all in one and I'll just Venmo you. It's like not that difficult. And she's like, no, I'm not leaving to get your card. And I was like, girl, why are you starting to fight? And then she called my dad and she was like, Nick's not going to go get his wallet. He expects me to pay for it. And she's like, I'm not going to pay for him because he's not going to pay me back. And then she's like freaking out. And my dad was like, stop, like, why are you freaking out? Just go or whatever. And she's like, no, I'm not gonna go. No, I'm not gonna do it. And so then anyway, my dad was like, okay, you can't go anymore. Like, you get your car privileges revoked. Like, just come inside the house. Like, you're not gonna go get coffee. And then she was like, fuck you. And she was like scream crying. And she was like, I need the coffee to poop. And she's like, I haven't pooped at all today. And like, I really need to. And like, I need the coffee. And my dad was like, well, sorry. She was like, you wanted to fight. And then my dad was like, well, you're at fault too. And I was like, I'm sorry. What did I do? So then anyway, do you have a Pioneer Trailblazer?
Well, before we go and I actually think of one, I wanted to quickly say, I I was gonna do a hard pitch to the town, since this is a democracy after all. For now, for the time being, until I take over. I wanted to say a couple people, Nicole, townsperson Nicole, and townsperson, hold please, townsperson Josh. You are on deck for town hall suggestion, so we'll get to you. Sorry we didn't get to today. I honestly thought it was going to be a shorter episode today, but it ended up not being, because we both talked about death and sex, and it was an interesting combination, to say the least. But we'll get to you all.
And that's the beauty of life, okay?
And that's the beauty of life,
There's nuance to it.
August Osage County.
Such a good play.
Yeah, August Osage County. Title of that.
No, I'm gonna do this. I
know. But I mean, like, at this point they don't care. But don't spoil it with the title either. I don't want everyone to just gather this a DP story. You gotta get them.
They're not gonna immediately be like, oh my god, Peru got double penetrated.
Well, they
reading the title.
definitely won't be you, bitch.
How do they don't know.
Oh, you said it that you would never.
No, but how they could have
I townspeople know us, bitch. They'd be like, if they had to guess who got DP'd, well, you never know.
I could have got DP'd at the funeral. You don't know.
That's totally DP at the funeral really throws them off. They're like, wait, what's happening?
They're like, what?
Wait, what? But I was gonna say, and I know my sister Nick's gonna agree with this, to make it easier for all of us to have access, because we share the Instagram. Sometimes one of us will see something, sometimes I will see something. To keep everything organized, especially as we're going to go into the hiatus, where we are going to be collecting town halls from all of you beautiful townspeople that we love, start utilizing pioneers and trailblazers at gmail.com. I think it'll be a great way for all of us to keep everything together. It has gotten just a little bit out of hand to keep track on the DMs, like which ones we missed. There were a couple on YouTube too. And whoever, I think it's Jordan, town person, that you commented on YouTube again. I'm so sorry. I'm just clocking that too. You are also on deck. You gave us a suggestion about career town hall suggestion. So it has gotten like a little bit difficult to keep track of like from where they come, and like I'm trying to keep. So
we could make a
spreadsheet. We could
do like a Google form.
But I feel like for the time being, if you all would be so kind to just do pioneers and trailblazers at gmail.com, send it there. Any shout out that you want, any funny story about the podcast, or any town hall suggestion you want to send to us. That way we can have it all in the email. It'll be easier for us. And then eventually, I also know that I was going to tell you about this for our next iteration of the podcast. There's definitely an easy way for us to get people to call and leave a voice memo. So just I just want to throw that out there for people to help us just keep everything organized, so we don't miss one of your town hall suggestions and shout outs. Do you have a Trailblazer?
I do. Thank you so much. I can't remember. I don't have my phone on me right now, so I don't know. I can't remember the townsperson's name, but I did watch the Pop the Balloon or Find Love gay edition.
Yeah, I never got to see it because we had a mental breakdown at work.
It's oh my god! I thank you so much for sending that to us, because
I think I can find them actually. Keep going.
It's first of all, it's some of the most rotted gay people I have ever witnessed in my life, and like it's so funny too, because there's some of them are so nasty for like no reason, and like so the first one that I watched, the first guy gets brought in or whatever, and then people pop the balloons and they go up and they're like, okay, so why did you pop your balloon? And so then like there are some like really like some femme queens in the lineup, and they like pop their balloon and they immediately just start roasting the guy, and then it just goes back and forth being like, well, you're ashy, and it's like, oh well, no, I'm not ashy, actually I moisturize every day, and then they are going back and forth just like ripping into each other, and they're like, oh no, you can move down the line, I already said my piece, you can move down the line. No, like what's your type if I'm not your type, what's your type? So I shout out to that. I will say the host of that version is not
townsperson Joaquin.
Okay, shout out to you, Joaquin. The host is not as good as the original Pop the Balloon Find Love. Like I will say I do have an issue with men, stealing from women. Okay, because she's a much better host, because she like asks like questions. I mean, listen, the whole thing in of itself is not very what's the word? They're not asking like really great questions to begin with. Like it's just like very surface level sort of thing to figure out if like you're a match. Like you're not really getting to know these people from what they're asking, but she does a better job of kind of initiating conversation versus like the guy who runs the gay version. He's just kind of like, why is he your type? Okay, moving on. Pop one balloon. Okay. And like it goes by so fast. So it moves much quicker. Like the original version, like the episodes are like an hour and a half long.
An hour and a half?
Oh, because they really kind of go in versus like the gay version. It moves so fast because they just are like, oh, I don't want to fuck you. So moving on. Kind of thing. So like the episodes are like 40 minutes. Anyway, that's my Trailblazer for the week. What's yours?
Well, I'm also finding someone. Shout out to townspeople Nadine. I wanted to tell you that I did find Diary of Tootsies, and I do want to watch it. 'Cause it did seem like it was gonna be something fun, of a show for me to watch. I think I would really like it. So thank you, Nadine, and also shout out to townsperson. Just finding these ones that I forgot about. Connor from South Africa. Thank you for listening. And my pioneer, you know who's gonna be? Founding town council member Alex. Yeah, yay. I know you're watching, Alex, but it's an ironic pioneer because Miss Alex thought it would be cute to call me weirdo and crazy for posting my latest reel on Instagram.
I agree. I'm on your side, Alex.
Was the very first and I'm gonna roast her ass publicly. How dare he, our only other follow on our account, founding town council, roasting one of the two town leaders of this town. How dare you roast me publicly and say the following on my account, on my latest video, in a quote: I can't believe you posted this. You are such a weirdo. How dare you do that? How dare you talk to me like that in public in front of all the townspeople? And guess what?
I agree with him though.
Why? Why is it weird that I posted that video? For the townspeople that know that follow me personally at Hey Peru on Instagram, please follow me if you don't already. I posted a video of me being behind two clearly gay men wearing the exact same thing, looking the exact same, looking like literal twins, and I thought it would be funny to ask the audience who's the top and who's the bottom. What's so wrong with that?
So you can follow Peru at Hey Peru.
Oh, and I'm not done. Guess what? Town council member Alex, if you want to come forth with an explanation to your allegations, the weirdo allegations, the video went viral, almost 300,000 views and counting. And
you showed us
all the thousands of shares, all the hundreds of comments of people engaged.
So if you want to see the rest of his viral content, you can follow him at Hey Peru on Instagram. You can follow him at Hey Peru _ on X/Twitter. You can follow me at Nicholas.Rose on Instagram, ClownfaceBinch on TikTok, ClownfaceBitch on Twitter /X. And please subscribe if you're not already subscribed on YouTube for a visual learner, or on the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts.
Drop a comment.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
4 episodes still hiatus. Send us some town hall suggestions, please.
Okay, bye.